Happy 2022. Today in our video, we're gonna talk a little bit about brushes. Ones that are really good for detangling. I'm not gonna get into brushes for heat styling or anything today, just because that would be a lot. But when we're talking about detangling our hair, which is something that we're gonna be doing a lot of this time of the year between scarves, dry weather, cuticle of the hair is just a little more open. So all those little scales are just gonna start snarling on each other. So it's gonna be really good to just give yourself 1 to 2 brushes a day. If you have curly hair, we'll talk about that in person when you're in here on how to manage. However, these are gonna be the top 2 brushes to use when brushing your hair. The first one that we're gonna talk about, this is a brush that I have from Colton King. It's one of my favorites. What makes it really excellent for detangling is that it has these soft nylon bristles, but then it also has this shorter, densely packed boar bristle. So the boar bristle is going to be really good at smoothing all of those little shingles that make the outer shell of the hair, known as the cuticle. Helps smooth those down, which not only makes your hair shiny, helps redistribute natural oils, which is what we always want to do. It will give your hair a less oily appearance while making your ends healthier too. So get all that shine, but then packed with these nylon bristles is excellent at detangling. This brush can be used just for basic brushing, but it also can be used for heat styling as well. The other brush that I heavily recommend to people is, the brand is called Wet Brush. But the reason I like these so much is because these nylon bristles are really flexible. I barely have to push to make these bend over. When hair is wet, it's really fragile. So you don't want to use something that's really going to stretch and pull on the hair, really pushing the elasticity of hair. Have you ever noticed when your hair is wet, you can pull on it more and you feel it kind of bounce a little more? Healthy hair has really good elasticity. It doesn't mean that we're constantly trying to stretch it though. So using something like this, if it does hit a snag, that really soft bristle is just gonna bend and keep going. So that way you then can target that little area and brush it out without actually like ripping through, which is the biggest thing we always wanna avoid. Don't rip. You're just gonna shred your hair, lead to more split ends, more snarls. So from here, I'm gonna show you how to actually brush your hair, which seems really simple, but there's some tips. So maybe your scarf doesn't make your hair this gnarly, but for demonstration purposes, I've grabbed my own personal wet brush that I like to use. Mine's gold because I like gold. They come in a million colors. However, the worst thing you could do is kind of just go here and try and brush down. It doesn't work and your hair is not gonna like it. So instead, the best thing to do is start from the bottom and just go gently. And if you feel any resistance, that's when you need to stop and just go a little bit lower and tease back up again. But even with this big tease, starting from the bottom, and just gently working up little by little is the way to go. You can see how easily this is just coming out. Up here, that was an area where it's like I could feel that pulling more, so I'm actually just gonna go a little lower. And yeah, just gently keep going up. Make sure too that while you're brushing the top, this is like what moms tell their kids all the time, make sure you are getting the deep underneath too. This is an area, especially during the winter time, that does tend to snarl the most. So you don't want to leave anything underneath that can kind of like perpetually knot up. If you're finding that in this area, you're just consistently always getting a huge knot, then what I would suggest is it's just simply haircut time. Those ends are dry and they're snarling really easily. So if you just snip off some of those, the knotting will definitely reduce dramatically. But even when your hair is wet, remember, brush from the bottom up. We don't want to start at the top and pull down. Just gently work all the way up.
The best time to brush your hair is when it's dry, because the elasticity is not going to be as fragile as when your hair is wet. And if your hair is wet and you're going to brush it, I would say with a lot of conditioner, gently in the shower. All right, we'll see you next month.